Imagine you're walking beside a lake.
Not a crowded tourist lake. Not the kind with boats and restaurants. A quiet lake. The kind hidden deep inside a forest. The water is perfectly still. So still it looks like glass. And floating near the shore, you see a flower. A water lily. Beautiful. Almost glowing. You step closer. The lake remains silent. The trees don't move. The birds have stopped singing. But you don't notice. Because all you can think about is the flower. You kneel down. Stretch out your hand. Your fingertips touch the water. Ripples spread outward. And suddenly, something moves beneath the surface. At first, you think it's your reflection. Then you realize the face looking back isn't yours. Long green hair, pale skin, green eyes. Watching you. Waiting. Before you can move, a hand reaches out from beneath the water and takes yours. Tonight, we are going to talk about Näcken, one of Scandinavia's most feared creatures. Welcome to the podcast You Can't Unhear. People living across Sweden told stories about something waiting in lakes and rivers. A creature known as Näcken. If you ask 10 different people what Näcken looks like, you'll probably get 10 different answers. Sometimes he appears as a handsome young man, sometimes an old gentleman, sometimes a child. But one detail appears again and again. The water. Näcken belongs to fresh water, lakes, streams, rivers. Never the sea. Never the ocean. If there's fresh water nearby, there's a chance he's there too, waiting beneath the surface, listening, watching. According to folklore, Näcken often appeared sitting on a rock near the water's edge, naked, beautiful, playing a violin. And if you heard the music, you were already in danger. Because the music wasn't meant to entertain. It was bait. In Sweden, water lilies are called näckrosor, Näcken's flowers. According to old stories, those flowers belonged to him. And he used them exactly the way fishermen use bait. To attract victims. A woman sees a beautiful flower. She approaches the water. She reaches out. And suddenly, she's gone. Pulled beneath the surface. Never seen again. Some stories say he allowed victims to pick the flowers, only for them to become sick afterward, poisoned, cursed, marked. Either way, the flowers were never gifts. They were invitations. What's interesting about Näcken is that some stories describe him as more than a predator. They describe him as lonely, terribly lonely. Imagine living beneath dark water for centuries, listening to people laugh on shore, watching them fall in love, grow old, raise families, while you remain trapped forever. Some legends claim that's why he lured women into the depths, not because he hated them. It's because he wanted company, someone to stay with him forever. Of course, humans don't survive very long underwater, which meant eventually he had to find another one, and another. One story tells of a woman who saw Näcken. She nearly drowned, but somehow escaped. Most people would have spent the rest of their lives avoiding lakes. She did the opposite. She became obsessed. Day and night, she thought about him, his face, his eyes, his voice. Her family became so worried that they locked her inside their cottage, but she still tried to escape. At one point, she attempted to climb through the chimney. She fell, broke both arms, and still, she wanted to return to the water. But the most terrifying story isn't about drowning. It's about music. A man named Lars. Lars wasn't special. He wasn't handsome. Wasn't strong. Wasn't talented. And he hated it. He watched other men become admired, become respected, become desired, while nobody noticed him. Then he heard a rumor. Näcken wasn't only a monster, he was also the greatest musician in existence. And if someone could convince him to teach them, they could become legendary. So Lars decided to find him. Folklore is full of rules, and this ritual had many. It had to happen on a Thursday. It had to happen at night. And Lars needed an offering. A completely black cat. Not mostly black. Not almost black. Every single hair had to be black. Because magical creatures were said to love black cats. So Lars placed the cat into a sack and waited beside the lake. The night was silent. Then the water moved. Something emerged. And Näcken stepped onto the shore. Lars offered the cat. Näcken accepted. And suddenly, everything went black. Then cold. Then wet. Before he knew it, he was sitting beside Näcken beneath dark water. The creature taught him 12 songs. 12 impossible songs. When Lars awoke on the shore, he wasn't sure any of it had happened. Until he touched a violin. The moment he played, people stopped and stared. He was incredible. The greatest musician anyone had ever heard. But before Lars left, Näcken gave him one warning. 11 songs were his, but the 12th song must never be played. Ever. At first, Lars obeyed. Life became perfect. People loved him. Women adored him. Villagers invited him to perform. But success creates a new problem. Pride. Eventually, people began teasing him, calling him the 11 Song Man. And one night, at a wedding, his pride finally broke. He picked up the violin and played the 12th song, Näckpolkan. Immediately, everyone began dancing. Not because they wanted to, because they couldn't stop. The music controlled them. At first, they laughed, cheered, celebrated. Then hours passed, and they were still dancing. Feet split open. Blood covered the floor. Still dancing. Bones cracked, still dancing. Skin tore away. Still dancing. The guests begged for it to stop. But Lars couldn't stop playing. The violin wouldn't let him. The song wouldn't let him. The dancers collapsed. Then stood again. Then collapsed. Again. And again. And the dance floor became a slaughterhouse. Until an old man entered the hall. Unlike everyone else, he wasn't dancing. He wasn't enchanted. He simply stared at the horror unfolding before him. Then walked directly toward Lars. Knife in hand. Lars thought he was about to die. Instead, the old man drove the blade into the violin. The strings snapped, and the music stopped. The reason he wasn't affected? He was completely deaf. He couldn't hear the song. And because he couldn't hear it, Näcken couldn't reach him. Somewhere in Sweden, people still tell stories about lakes where strange music can be heard after sunset. Most dismiss them as old folklore. Just some stories. But if you ever find yourself standing beside still water, and you hear a violin playing somewhere in the darkness, maybe don't go looking for the musician, because some songs aren't meant to be heard. Have a good night, guys, and I'll see you on the next episode of the podcast You Can't Unhear.